From November 6th to the 18th, world leaders were at the UN's COP27 Climate Summit, where they negotiated solutions to the climate crisis, haggling over how to establish a loss and damage fund and help developing nations transition into clean energy to meet emission targets needed to cap the global temperature below 1.5 degrees Celsius. But as big polluters try to negotiate their way out of the agreed $100 billion to fund mitigation and adaptation initiatives, Caribbean leaders, communities, and even utility companies say they are tired of waiting for world leaders to save them. In 2014, the Government of Saint Lucia announced refined energy targets, setting a renewable energy penetration target of 35% and an energy efficiency target of 20% reduction in consumption in the public sector, both to be achieved by 2020. In 2015, Saint Lucia submitted a climate action plan to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, and in April 2016, ratified the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. To reach energy and climate goals while ensuring cost effectiveness, a deliberately planned energy transition process is critical for all Saint Lucian stakeholders.
Saint Lucia has built this 3-megawatt plant. It's the first utility-grade solar installation on the island.
Well, I think the main opportunity is that the more you introduce RE, you have the potential to reduce your reliance on fuel. And that constitutes a significant component of a customer's bill. On the flip side, though, most, if not all, RE initiatives are more costly than the conventional form of energy. So you have to try and come up with a balancing equation that allows the utility to continue to make a decent return on its investment, while at the same time reducing that volatility in our tariffs by eliminating more and more fuel out of our cost structure. Some of the other challenges are getting access to land, both solar and wind, are land intensive. And so we've spent a lot of time negotiating over a number of years with various landowners trying to secure appropriate sites for RE development. And that's been a real challenge.
On November 15th, 2022, the headline screamed, "We need a complete energy transformation. The supply of electricity from clean energy sources must be doubled within the next 8 years to limit global temperature increases. Otherwise, there is a risk that climate change leading to more extreme weather and water stress will undermine our energy security and even jeopardize renewables energy supplies," according to a new multi-agency report from the World Meteorological Organization. The energy sector is a source of around 3/4 of global greenhouse gas emissions. Switching to clean forms of energy generation, such as solar, wind, and hydropower, and improving energy efficiency is vital if we are to thrive in the 21st century. But the transition to clean green energy has been anything but smooth sailing for the Saint Lucia electricity services.
When we were looking at the wind project down in the Bordelais-Dennery area, we encountered some challenges because the land was owned by a number of different parties, and there was a big portion of land that was now being controlled by a number of heirs. So you now have to start talking to about 15 or 20 people to get, acquire the land. We tried to get some assistance from government. They were a little hesitant initially. By the time they decided to get more involved, the developer we were working with passed away, unfortunately, so the project kind of took a back seat. With the solar initiative in the Miko area, again, we had been negotiating for almost 2 years, going back and forth with the landowners. Can you imagine them trying to get 16 brothers and sisters or cousins together to agree on a price and the terms and conditions? And in the end, we got frustrated. we didn't want to go back to government in terms of compulsory acquisition because of the challenges that we had with the wind project. But we were able to enter into an agreement with a property owner on the eastern coast of the island, perhaps midway between Miko and Viewfort. And so that project has basically started with some very preliminary work.
Solar energy is one option for reducing future greenhouse gas emissions. Saint Lucia has been making bold strides towards photovoltaic integration into the national grid.
We have approximately 208 rooftop systems installed. The total capacity is about 1.8 megawatts. Since the inception of the program, they have produced approximately 30 million units, and that has saved customers approximately 12 million EC dollars, meaning that's fuel we did not have to purchase and use in terms of generation.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres outlined critical actions to transform the world's energy systems and speed up the shift to renewable energy. He said, make renewable energy technology a global public good, meaning make it available to all, not just the wealthy. Therefore, it will be essential to remove roadblocks to knowledge sharing and technological transfers, including intellectual property rights barriers. While global cooperation and coordination are critical, our domestic policy framework must urgently be reformed to streamline and fast-track renewable energy projects and catalyze private sector investments. Simply put, government and the agencies which are fueling the climate change agenda must remove the horrendous red tape which discourage people from even considering photovoltaic systems.
The science is clear. Any hope of limiting temperature rise to 1.5 degrees means achieving global net zero emissions by 2050.
UN Secretary General Guterres also said that fossil fuel subsidies are one of the biggest financial barriers hampering the world's shift to renewable energy. The International Monetary Fund says that about $5.9 trillion was spent on subsidizing the fossil fuel industry in 2020 alone. Shifting subsidies from fossil fuels to renewable energy not only cuts emissions, but also contributes to sustainable economic growth and job creation. In St. Lucia, shouldn't all solar panels and photovoltaic systems be duty-free and VAT-free? Why should it cost an average of $35,000 for households to produce their own electricity, harnessing the power of the sun? In the Secretary General's words, renewables are the only path to real energy security, stable power prices, and sustainable employment opportunities. The time is nigh for local politicians to match their begging in the international arena to tangible renewable energy facilitation to reduce our dependency on imported fossil fuels.